Good morning, Carl Bredell here. I will not have Gerard Kotze with me today. We are on the program called Prosperous and Healthy, Health and Prosperity, and we're back at Spier, just outside of Stellenbosch. And I managed to get hold of Angus McIntosh, the farmer of Spier, at Spier, well known as Farmer Angus, and we're going to have quite an interesting chat today. Angus, I really appreciate that I could get hold of you today. I know you run around like a chicken, mad chicken, but I appreciate your time. I've known Angus for quite a while, and we've had lots of talks, lots of chats, but one of the most powerful messages that I've heard from you is that with your fork, you can choose what happens to Earth. Am I right, or can you explain what you mean with this?
I think the simplest way to describe it is we are all farmers by proxy. And for those people who don't have a background in finance, which I do, proxy means that you authorize someone to vote on your behalf. Mm-hmm. And what they mean is that every time you eat, you're choosing a farmer. And there's only two types of farmers: destructive farmers and regenerative farmers. There's no drought sitting or fence sitting doing farming. You can either be regenerative or you can be destructive. I think the important thing before we go any further is people need to acknowledge that there is a problem. You know, like with an alcoholic, the first thing alcoholics got to do is say, I actually have a problem. Yeah. So humanity needs to recognize that there's a problem on Earth with the environment. Now, unfortunately, most people don't accept that there's a problem. They just carry on with their lives as if it's all the same. You know, we are in the 4th year of a drought in the Western Cape. It's a man-made drought, completely. And yet everyone says, oh, it's going to rain. And no one acknowledges that we have stuffed up the global ecosystem through agriculture. Okay, so what I like to talk about is I say human beings are committing species-wide suicide. Yeah. And they're doing it through agriculture. Yeah. But the paradox or the irony of agriculture is that despite it being the most destructive thing on the planet, much more than mining or anything else, it can also heal the earth. And in the process of healing the earth, it is nourishing the human that's eating the food from regenerative agriculture, and it's creating employment. You know, we're moving away from all of this.
We can chat about that a bit later.
So I don't know if that's answered your question, but you eat every 3 times a day at least. You're choosing your farmer.
That's a very powerful statement, and something I think that we should take responsibility for. And as you say, people aren't aware of it. What I see in medicine, I've seen it for years, is people come to me by the time when they're sick. The problem is, it doesn't start when they're sick. There's always an onloop. It takes time and it builds up over time. And I think what you're saying is that if we're going to wait till there's a complete catastrophe on Earth, it's going to be too late, or it's going to be real.
But there is already a catastrophe. The last 3 years have year on year been the hottest years on Earth. Okay. There's no way where the ecology is working in the way it's supposed to be working.
Used to work.
Okay. Yeah. And if you think things are bad on land, try the oceans
and the rivers.
Yeah.
We just have to walk down to the
I'll
river.
tell you what. For example, I will no longer eat fish.
Really?
I just won't. Because if everyone stops eating fish, there's no demand. Okay. It's supply and demand. When there's no demand, they can't overfish, they can't pillage the oceans.
But there's more demand.
There's almost more plastic in the oceans than fish. Yeah. That changeover point is about to get there.
Sure. When you say there's regenerative farming, what do you do differently than the destructive farmers?
It's a simple thing. It's about building the carbon content in your soil.
Okay. And
if you're building the carbon content in your soil, you are regenerating. If you're not, you're destroying. Okay. Carbon is the scaffolding of life. Mm-hmm.
Every single
Well,
organic material
everything
is built up of
built up of carbon.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's carbon scaffolding of life. Carbon is 58% of what's called organic matter in the soil.
Yeah.
And organic matter in the soil is what holds the water, holds the nutrients.
Mm-hmm.
So every 1 gram of organic matter holds 8 grams of water. I think it's about 1 to 8 that. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay. Maybe it's that. 1 to 8. Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. 1 to 8. 1 gram of organic matter holds 8 grams of water. If every farm in the world was focused on building organic matter in the soil, we wouldn't have a water holding capacity. Our soils would hold the water, we wouldn't have drought problems. Unfortunately, it's the lunatic fringe who are regenerative.
Yeah.
The mainstream is destructive.
Isn't it all about money? Just,
Well,
I mean,
there's a couple
the
of
short
things.
term.
There's a couple of things. One, there's a money element, but before we get into money, let's talk about retailers.
yeah.
Okay? Because the retailers are the biggest problem in this drama. A retailer cares about return of square meter of shelf space. That's what they care about. Whether the retailer is selling a steak or a teapot or a cell phone or a ball bearing, don't care. What is the return per square meter of shelf space?
Mm-hmm.
So it's the retailer that enforces their suppliers to keep cutting costs, because the retailer's business model is predicated on screwing their suppliers. A retailer can only make money if they screw their suppliers. They can't make money any other way. Okay? So the retailer is forcing people to cut costs. Okay? Unfortunately, I don't have the picture with me. It's in somewhere else in my other office. But the guys are selling beef mince, okay, which looks like mince, but it's the internal fat of beef, water, soya protein isolate, MDM. MDM is mechanically deboned meat. So it's stuff that's masquerading as meat because the supermarket does that. So what happens is the two mega trends that are working against regenerative agriculture. The first one is less and less people, more and more people are spending less and less of their disposable income on food. The spend on food is just in decline. And then in addition to that, the finance and insurance and real estate industries take a disproportionate share of disposable income all the time, because everyone's lifestyle is indebted. You're paying off your education, you're paying off your car, you're paying off your wife, not your wife, but some are, but you're paying off your house.
Yeah.
So you have to pay off everything, and then what are you left with? Less and less disposable income, because those industries aren't slowing down, they're just growing and taking more.
We've talked a lot about advertising and how advertising before, where advertising creates a need and people then buy junk that they don't really need, which again reduces your food disposable income. But is it really more expensive to go?
No, so but that's a great question, okay? And the expense thing. Let's just look at that picture. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm a management accountant by training. I was a stockbroker for 4 and a bit years. In all those years in the finance world, I never heard the phrase true cost accounting. Never once. So let's talk about true cost accounting in the context of that.
Yeah.
Okay, is the camera picking that up?
We'll go and have a close look at that.
That is a picture of what's called feedlot beef or grain-fed beef, which is 99.99% of the market. If the grain-fed beef was honestly priced,
Yeah, I've looked into that.
then the free antibiotic resistance would be in the price. The free inflammatory diseases you get from getting too much omega-6 in your diet would be in the price. The environmental destruction from the way the animal was raised will be in the price. The environmental destruction from the way the food the animal is fed, is raised, should be in the price. The destruction from that where it is finished, because it's not raised there, it's finished there, would be in the price.
The cost of cancer and chronic diseases because of eating.
All of that would be in the price, okay? It's not in the price. So therefore it's a dishonestly priced item. That would be 10 times more expensive than a grass-fed beefsteak that comes off a farm that's building carbon in the soil, that's creating employment, that's nourishing people, nourishing the earth. We're talking about two different things here. And then people say, oh, but how do you feed the poor? I say, where has it been acceptable to feed the poor stuff that makes them sick?
Yeah.
Okay, where is that acceptable? It's only acceptable if your mindset is a reductionist mindset where human beings are not valued as human beings, but they are sources of income. They are production widgets. Okay, that is the tool of capitalism.
Where do you start? Firstly, as a farmer, and also as a consumer. I know I go out of my way to. I get your meat every week. I come and buy my vegetables here at the market. That's a start. And I must say, my wife on Saturday came to me with a basket and she said, look what I bought. It was 200 Rand. And I couldn't believe a massive basket full of vegetables. You compare that to what I walk out of a shop with.
For the same amount of money.
For the same amount of money. And it was the biggest bargain, actually, to come and buy organic food. And I know what it tastes like, so I'm hooked on it. I just don't want to eat junk anymore that's tasteless. But it took me a while to get it, and I got it not because of the taste or the cost, but because of the health, my family's health.
So Carl, you need to eat less food that is more nutrient dense.
You need to eat
less food that has more nutrients in it.
Okay, so the more you feed the body, the less
also,
you need.
We all eat too much.
Yeah.
We all eat too much. We don't chew our food properly. Okay. South Africa is 3rd or 5th most obese country in the world. Okay, that's an eating problem.
Yeah.
Okay, so people mustn't come and say, "Oh, I've got a thyroid problem." You've got a stuffing too much sugar into your body problem. That's what you've got. Okay, for whatever reasons you're eating, they might be all valid reasons. You eat too much, energy in, energy out. So the first thing is to look for the highest quality products you can find and afford. Eat less of them. Grow some of your own stuff. It's simple growing vegetables.
Very easy.
It really is very simple. And if you're not, then get someone to grow them for you. Okay, if you actually don't have time.
That's something
little
the
things
poor
like
can
herbs.
do easily.
Listen, 15 kilometers away from here is Khayelitsha. There's 1 million unemployed people.
Yeah.
Why are they not growing their own food?
Yeah.
I'll tell you why. Because there's a prejudice against farmers. I know. I was a Goldman Sachs stockbroker. Now I'm farming. You know, why have you become a farmer? There's a bias against electricians, against plumbers, against artisans. It's only the lawyers and the doctors and the engineers. You won't know because you've been a doctor your whole life. Okay? Yeah. Tell your friend, I'm not a doctor anymore. I'm now going to become a plumber. You see how quickly you'll drop in your circle of friends. It's a ridiculous bias against artisans in the English-speaking Anglo-Saxon world. The Germans don't have it. Okay, so more nutrient-dense food. The revolution in retail is going to come within the next year or two because already there are shops in the US where you walk into the shop, you've got a handheld bricks meter. Graham Sates talked about it last week. It's an Australian guy. There's actually one or two in Australia who are doing it now. So you walk into the shop, pick up the bricks meter, point it at the fruit, 4 different types of apples, you choose the most nutrient-dense one. That is the incentive for the farmer to farm like that.
Yeah. Wow, that's a very interesting
thought. Carl, we're very close to doing that. We're very close to doing that.
Toxins and
that's also what they're going to do.
Pesticides.
That's exactly what they're going to do.
Angus, you can finish off. So we've talked about the consumer. On the farmer side, how do you start?
So, okay, I wasn't a conventional farmer. I'd never farmed in any other way except the way I'm farming now. So
you grew up on a farm.
I grew up on a farm, but what my dad did is he would sell cattle into the market.
Okay.
Now, I'm actually finishing my cattle. I've got a butchery. I've got a direct relationship with the end consumer. It's a very different thing. We talk about regenerative agriculture. My father, he can spell regenerative, but that's about it. He doesn't. Those concepts are alien to him.
Yeah.
Okay. But we lived on the farm for half the year. The other half we lived in Cape Town. So we were never really on the farm too much. How do farmers get into it? Well, it's a catch-22 because you need a market.
Yes. But there's a growing market.
I think there is a growing market, but it's still a struggle, Carl. My business struggles, okay? And I know my stuff's the cleanest in the country. I'm the only butchery not adding nitrates and nitrites to my meat. Nitrates and cancer go hand in hand, okay? It's a struggle. Most people say they care about their food,
But they still look
but
at
they're not really making it happen.
Well, that's one of the things that's my job is education, and there's no money in that, but I know I'm going to change more people's lives through education, and I really appreciate what you're doing, and all we can do is just tell and show and expose and keep going,
Sure.
because I think we both really care about what's going on.
Yeah.
But I appreciate your time. I'd love to pop in sometime or another and actually go to the cattle or go to the pigs. We went to the chicken last week, but we want to go
you want
to
to see what the pigs are doing. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's a whole new world.
So we talked earlier about carbon.
Yeah.
We did soil tests a while ago. There was a paddock that prior to the pigs for about 8 years had the same treatment.
Mm-hmm.
Then the pigs were on one half of the paddock and not on the other. We did the soil tests. The carbon content where the pigs were compared to where they were not was 24% higher where the pigs were.
Unbelievable.
Okay, so the regenerative impact of the pigs is incredible.
Yeah.
And yet there are maybe 3 that I know of outdoor pig producers. All other pork is caged.
Yeah. That's something we must talk about. Cage. I look at these poor. That's a whole new talk.
It's very easy. It's very easy. 96% of laying hens are caged.
Yeah.
What does it mean? 96% of the egg eaters in South Africa have chosen caged eggs. It's a choice the consumers made. It's not been helped by the egg industry because 3 years ago they killed legislation. The eggs were going to be labeled caged eggs. And the egg industry said, can't do it. Okay? So, 96% of every egg comes out of a caged hen. It should be on the label.
That's something we'll have to work towards. All those, not labels, but the information. Give the guys the information.
Transparency, man.
Yep.
Okay.
There's a lot of work to be done.
I've got to
but
go.
I appreciate your time. I really do.
Pleasure.
So Karel, wat 'n interessante gesprek met Farmer Angus. What an amazing guy. How knowledgeable is hy nie om al hierdie goed te kan doen nie en regtig 'n standpunt in te neem om te sê my bydrae om die aarde 'n beter plek te maak. Ek gaan doen alles wat ek het en wat vir my uitgestaan het by die gesprek was die feit dat hy sê enige ou kan groente plant. Dis iets wat nie 'n vreemde ding is nie. Ons enige een kan dit doen.
En 'n paar hoendertjies in die agterplaas aanhou. En miskien moet ons op 'n punt kom waar ons paar manne saam 'n paar beeste ergens op 'n plaas het of 'n bok op 'n plaas het en jy het mede-aandeel daarin. Ons kan almal ergens begin leef uit die natuur. Maar ons sal moet terugkom, dink ek, en nog 'n bietjie meer hier gesels.
Wel, ek dink ek het 'n baie interessante les geleer. Al wat ek besef is die verantwoordelikheid kom weer terug na my en jou toe. Ek en jy, ons praat nou hier van miskien moet ons dit, miskien moet ons dat. Nie miskien nie, kom ons doen dit.
Ja.
Kom ons doen dit en ek het 'n idee terwyl ek hier sit en ons hoop om vir ons luisteraars en ons kykers binnekort te vertel van my en jou venture. Maar ek dink wat belangrik is, Karel, en ek dink daarmee moet ons eindig. As 'n mediese praktisyn is jou absolute fokuspunt dat mense verantwoordelikheid vir hulle eie gesondheid sal vat. Voor jy enigiets doen, voor jy hoenders aanhou, voordat jy groente plant, voordat jy enigiets anders doen, begin net eers verantwoordelikheid vat vir wat jy in jou liggaam insit. Bottom line.
Dis die basiese beginsel, ja. En as jy nie die basiese goed insit, die fondasie insit nie, maak nie saak wat jy doen met jou huis daarna nie, gaan hy kraak en breek en in mekaar tuimel en die dak gaan gaan inval. So die basiese beginsel is voeding. Kyk na wat jy in jou lyf sit. Dis waar jy begin. En kyk wat jy insit wat jy nie behoort in te sit nie, en dan kyk jy of jy al hoe beter voedingsstowwe kan insit. En hy het 'n belangrike punt genoem, hoë kwaliteit nutritious, hoë kwaliteit voeding. Dis waar jy begin.
Nou ja, maar die fone wat lekker lui, sit ons in 'n werkende besigheid en dit is die goeie nuus daarvan. Niemand hardloop rond om die foon te antwoord nie. Dit sê vir my ook die manne is rustig hier rond. Maar Karel, dit is nou gebring aan die einde van 'n baie interessante dag. My vraag natuurlik nou vir jou is, wat het jy volgende in die mou? Want jy het nou opgekom met 'n paar interessanthede, of gaan ons dit laat oorstaan vir ons kykers vir volgende week en ons luisteraars, om vir hulle te sê, waar is ons volgende week, of weet ons al?
So volgende week gaan ons op nog 'n plaas wees, waar 'n boer ook sy hartsaak gemaak het om te gaan kyk, waar kom kos vandaan. So hy boer nie self nie, maar hy loop rond en ry rond en gaan kyk, elke stukkie vleis wat hy aanhou, waar kom dit vandaan? Hoe leef daai diere? En
hoe bedoel jy, hou dit aan? Het hy 'n winkel of iets?
Hy het 'n organiese winkel, ja.
So ons gaan 'n bietjie shopping doen volgende.
Ons gaan soontoe gaan en met hom praat en vra waarvoor kyk hy. En dan gaan ons verseker terugkom na Spier toe, na Farmer Angus toe. Ek dink daar's nog baie vrae en nog baie inligting. En hy het ons genooi om na die varke te gaan kyk. Dis 'n belewenis.
Ek wil vir jou sê, ek het vir 'n lang tyd met varke geboer myself.
O, jy sal ken, jy sal dit
ek is baie lief vir varke, juis omdat glo dit as jy wil van die skoonste diere is wat daar is, en ek is seker as ons by sy hokke gaan instap, gaan jy...
As nie hokke nie, hulle hardloop buite in die veld rond.
Okay, dan gaan hulle vuil wees, maar as jy in die kraamhokke ingaan, dan gaan jy sien, dit gaan hyper netjies, hyper skoon wees. Maar ek sien uit daarna. So nou ja, iets om na uit te sien, en ons nooi jou hartlik uit om saam met ons te reis op hierdie interessante reis van Voorspoedig en Gesond. So moenie wegraak nie, bly gerus ingeskakel. As jy op Radio Disa na ons luister, baie dankie dat jy dit doen. Jy kan ook hierdie program op 'n Woensdag aand 7:00 sien op Live CBN. Dit is www.livecbn. En dit is waar jy hierdie program kan sien. Ons sien uit daarna om jou te sien. So as jy wil sien hoe lyk ons en hoe ons praat, hoe lyk die plaas, dan gaan ons dit vir jou daar wys. Anders, jy wat op die radio luister, skakel weer in volgende maandag aand om 6:30. Totsiens.